Domantas Sabonis were named All-NBA third team yesterday, joined LeBron James, Dame Lillard, and Julius Randle to make out that third team squad. First time Sacramento teammates have made the same All-NBA team. This is an incredible validation for this squad. And Jesse had a great note in our rundown today about how the narrative around Sacramento this season doesn't match what we've seen in these postseason acknowledgments, these season awards, from De'Aaron Fox to Mike Brown. Those are fine. I mean, those are great. Like, not diminishing those at all. But to be named All NBA, a top 15 player in the National Basketball Association, is a huge deal for any player. It's a huge player. It's a huge deal for De'Aaron and Domas. It's a huge deal for the Sacramento Kings organization. It's validation for what this team is building, for what this organization is building and what they're doing. And it flies in the face of all the smart-ass remarks that were made about this team all throughout the regular season.
Yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes you got to consider the source. You got to consider, who are some of these guys speaking, and also, are they just trying to be witty and clever? But when it comes down to it, there's no denying some of the things. Whether it's Mike Brown as the coach, whether it's like who was that? That was our guy. Oh man.
Well, while you're thinking of it,
who
that was John Hollinger.
Hollinger laid out this whole argument, and I don't know if he votes. I'm just kind of assuming. We laid out this whole argument for Mark Dagnall and Bickerstaff or whatever. And when it got down to it, Mike Brown was a unanimous decision for Coach of the Year. So I think a lot. I don't want to call it clickbait. I don't want to say that, but
no, that is what it is. It's
because maybe it's not meant to be that. Like maybe there isn't.
It's content. Someone's attempting to create content.
I can make an argument of this and that, and I'm gonna write about this argument I can make.
It's like the thing that I read you yesterday about Jeremy Grant. The article was things we don't think will happen. But could. That was just one of the things of Sacramento's creative pursuit of Jeremy Grant. Like it's content. People are finding ways to create content for better or worse. That's the problem. Like, there's a line. I don't think Hollinger's article was harmful. He was writing an article like, I feel like he said it in this, and I can't remember exactly. I feel like he said, I'm pretty sure Mike Brown is the coach of the year. But here's a reason why Mark Dagnall could be coach of the year. Or here's the reason why, and I think there were 2 or 3 other coaches on the list. I don't think there's any harm in that kind of content, whether it's accurate or not. I think the harm comes when you spend, 2,500 words diminishing what a team did all season, or what a coach did all season that you didn't see.
Well, there is that.
You saw 7 games in the playoffs. You saw the 2 TNT games. So maybe you saw 9 total games or pieces of 9 total games. And you think you have the ability to write about this franchise. You think you have the ability to write about Mike Brown or De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis.
Right.
Because I don't think you do.
Right. And to be honest with you, a lot of those people ended up voting. So I don't know what that says. I don't know what they're doing half the time, because I can tell for sure that there are people who voted on that award who throughout the season said things that, like, clearly you're not watching the games. So I'm glad you got it right, but like you talked about, people was kind of showing themselves throughout this season. Absolutely showing themselves, and they got exposed. But that's neither here nor there. The job got done, no matter how we got here or what happened along the way, really. The right things happened. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis were rightfully selected to the All-NBA teams. Deservedly so. great seasons from both of these guys. And then you talked about all the postseason awards, like Jesse talked about. I mean, I thought they were all the right choices for
Mhm.
this particular season. So I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, me too. It's an amazing thing for this franchise, and it feels like for the first time in a really, really long time. I'll I'll go to De'Aaron's Instagram post, building blocks.
Mm.
This for the first time feels like, yo, you've got you've got a foundation here.
Mm.
People have always talked about rebuilding, rebuilding, rebuilding. This team has never rebuilt anything because they've never built something in the first place.
Mm.
You can't rebuild something that was never built. But now you're building something. And it's not just the foundation of a squad. Like you've got the foundation, you got the walls up, you got the whole, like you've got the second floor, you got the Kenny Caraway loft up there too. Like you've got this thing, but you might have this thing built. Now you're filling it with nice furniture.
Mm.
And that's where we get into the, conversations, which we will. James wrote a great piece on Trey Lyles that really complements the conversation we had yesterday that we want to bring to your attention here in a few minutes. But this is the first time in a long time where it's like, yeah, when we talk about free agents, you talk about Cam Johnson, you talk about just getting in the room with those guys, getting in the room with their representatives. It's not far-fetched anymore.
Right.
It doesn't seem like a ridiculous thought or a ridiculous sentiment because Monty McNair's got, look at what we're doing. This is what we've done in a short time.
Hmm.
You could be a part of what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah. And the other thing about that is, and I know I've talked about like I like another star type player here for sure, but you don't necessarily have to have that. When you don't have the foundation, when you don't have building blocks and guys that you can look at as franchise players, that's the tough part. Going out and be like, how do I go get that guy? How Kings 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, like, damn, the original epiphany. Damn, Damian Lillard. How do I get a Damian Lillard? That's the hard part. Like sometimes there's only one way for a Sacramento. There is only one way. There is the whole tank and hope you come across that type of guy, or make a trade for a disgruntled star. Hope you have a Chris Webber situation, right? But when you go into an offseason and you go into a free agency and everything else like that with two guys that you already deem as franchise, but now the other parts are a little easier. I say this all the time. I'm not saying this particular guy, but you can go find you a Daniel House. You can go find those guys. You can go find a guy, a Terrence Ross, that's gonna, just be a bucket getter for you if that's what you need, if that's what you're looking for. You can go find those guys every year if you're doing your homework and you're strategic with what you're doing. But they haven't ever been able to be in that position, it seems like, where we got the cornerstones. Now we get the pieces around the cornerstones. They were always looking for the cornerstone. Even if you felt like DeMarcus was that guy, he still needed another one. You still needed to find another guy to go with DeMarcus. So this is a place that they're at that you talked about. They can be a destination for somebody. They can be a destination for Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant is not. He's not franchise. He's a piece. But he can look at this and be like, I can be a piece, a big time contributing piece to a team that already has their cornerstones, and we can win big. So I love it. I love the fact that they're in this position, and All NBA says something about that to me too, because I was looking at the list of All NBA players in the last 12, 13 years. I mean, it's a real accomplishment